What up, world? Established Rich coming right back at you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. Drake suing Universal Music Group and calling out Sir Lucian Grainge by name isn't just a legal move. It's a mistake of historic proportions. Because you don't just throw rocks at the king of the castle when you still live inside his castle. And make no mistakes about it, Lucian Grainge owns the castle. We're talking about the most powerful man in the global music business. A man who runs a multi-billion-dollar empire in 200 countries around the world. He is moving pieces on a global chessboard, dealing with tech giants, buying entire companies, expanding into new territories. And Drake thinks he was personally sitting around planning a release of Not Like Us. Grainge called the allegation groundless and ridiculous. And he's right. Why would he sabotage one of his biggest assets? Drake has been a cash cow for Universal for over a decade. But here's the beautiful and brutal thing about Grainge's response. It wasn't just a denial. It was a masterclass in reminding you who really holds all the cards. Because what he essentially said between the lines was, Drake, we own you. Universal owns most of Drake's catalog. They own most of his publishing rights, which means this dream he sold people about one day owning his masters after suing the guy who controls them, it ain't never gonna happen. And this is where the comparison to Kendrick Lamar is painful, because Kendrick has more control over his music than Drake has over his own. Kendrick structured his career to be his own boss. He made sure he had leverage, he had ownership, he had say-so. Drake, he played it like an athlete under a contract. He even said it. He treats the music like sports. But here's the difference. If you LeBron James and you in the NBA, you sign a deal, you still own your name, your brand, and your future. In music, if you don't negotiate ownership, you can be the biggest star in the world and still not own the songs that made you. Look at the greats, Baby and Slim, E40, Jay-Z. They built their own empires and kept control. They didn't play for somebody else's team forever. But Drake, he was the perfect company man for Universal Music Group, putting out projects like clockwork, bringing in hundreds of millions, and never realizing that every hit was built in somebody else's building. And now, after this lawsuit, the truth is out. The most powerful man in the music business just told you, I own you. Let's talk about the history of artists who didn't own their work. Prince fought Warner Brothers for years over his masters. This is why he changed his name to a symbol to force negotiations. Taylor Swift lost her first 6 albums to Scooter Braun's acquisition of Big Machine. She had to re-record them in order to regain some control. Beyonce, Frank Ocean, Rihanna all made strategic moves to regain ownership. And then there's Michael Jackson, who bought the ATV catalog and owned the Beatles songs. He understood that in music, the songs are the goal. Without ownership, you just rent your legacy. And that's where Drake is today. Now add another layer, the contract structure. Kendrick's deal with Top Dawg and Interscope gave him room to own more, control more, call more shots. He can drop when he wants, move how he wants, and his partnership isn't built on someone else owning his entire life's work. Drake's deal is the opposite. This man is literally fighting a company that holds the rights to most of his career output. And Lucian Grainge just reminded him publicly of that fact. In business terms, that's called a checkmate. And here's what's truly pathetic about this situation. Drake built his brand on being the cool guy, the untouchable superstar. But now, the facade is cracking. His songs ain't staying in the top 10, and the perception has shifted. He's not the cool guy anymore. He's the rapper suing his own label and getting exposed in the process. Meanwhile, Kendrick is sitting on the most devastating diss song of the last decade, free to move however he wants. The contrast couldn't be sharper. So to the young artists watching, learn from Drake. Never, and I mean never, sign your legacy away without a plan to get it back. Because if you don't, one day you will wake up and realize you built an empire for somebody else. And when you try to turn on them, they'll remind you that you still inside my house. And that's why this lawsuit isn't just ridiculous. It's a public confession of powerlessness. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe. Established Rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.